Is Dana White really blocking the biggest fight of the year? Fans are shocked, and we're here to uncover why. Dana White has just made it clear, there's no way we're going to see Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira anytime soon. Fans were buzzing with excitement, but now that hope has been crushed. Why would Dana White, who's known for putting together massive fights, suddenly put a stop to this one? What's really going on behind the scenes? Stay tuned as we break down everything you need to know about Dana White's shocking decision to block Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira. All the information in this video comes directly from the official MMA fighting website, ensuring you get the most accurate and up-to-date details on this topic. Dana White, the president of the UFC, has firmly shut down the idea of a Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira fight, at least for the foreseeable future. The concept of this fight, which has been heavily discussed and supported by fans and UFC insiders, including commentator Joe Rogan, was exciting to many because it could potentially make Pereira the first three-division champion in UFC history. However, Dana White's recent comments on the Pat McAfee show made it clear that he's not entertaining this matchup right now. To understand why Dana White is so resistant to the idea, it's important to look at the context and the logistics involved. Alex Pereira, at 37 years old, is currently the UFC light heavyweight champion and a former middleweight champion. He also has a decorated career in kickboxing, where he was a two-division champion in Glory Kickboxing. In 2024, Pereira has already proven himself to be a reliable and formidable fighter, stepping in on short notice to save two major UFC events. In April, he headlined UFC 300, where he knocked out Jamahal Hill in the first round. Then in June, he headlined UFC 303, delivering another knockout, this time in the second round against Jiri Prochazka. Given these accomplishments, there is a lot of hype surrounding Pereira, and his move to heavyweight to challenge Jon Jones seems like a natural next step. Jon Jones is the reigning UFC heavyweight champion and is widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters in MMA history. The prospect of a fight between Jones and Pereira has generated a lot of excitement because it would pit two highly skilled and accomplished fighters against each other in what many believe could be the biggest fight in UFC history. Pereira's coach, Plinio Cruz, has also endorsed the idea, describing it as a mega fight and potentially the best fight between two great champions. Cruz's support only added fuel to the fire as he highlighted the respect that both fighters have for each other, making the matchup even more intriguing. Despite the enthusiasm from fans, commentators, and even the fighters themselves, Dana White's decision to shut down the fight likely stems from several considerations. First, there are concerns about the weight classes and the physical demands on the fighters. Moving up to heavyweight is no small feat, and while Pereira has proven himself in the light heavyweight division, competing against a seasoned heavyweight like Jon Jones could be a different challenge altogether. The UFC might be cautious about rushing such a move, as it could have long-term implications for both fighters' careers. Another factor could be timing. The UFC is a business, and Dana White might be considering the best way to maximize the excitement and revenue potential of such a fight. It's possible that he's looking at other matchups or events that need to happen first before considering a fight of this magnitude. By holding off on this fight, White could be waiting for the perfect moment when the hype is at its peak, ensuring that the fight becomes as big as it's being predicted to be. Lastly, Dana White is known for being strategic in his decisions. He might see more value in keeping Pereira in the light heavyweight division for a bit longer, especially since Pereira has just recently won the title. Keeping him at light heavyweight allows the UFC to continue building his legacy in that division before making a move to heavyweight. Jon Jones, a legendary figure in MMA, is considered by many to be the greatest light heavyweight of all time. His recent transition to the heavyweight division, where he won the title by defeating Cyril Gane in March 2023, marked a significant milestone in his career. Despite his success, Jones has been sidelined for much of 2024 due to a shoulder injury, delaying his next fight. The UFC is keen to see Jones return to action, and the planned matchup against Stipe Miocic is expected to be a marquee event, likely taking place in November 2024 at Madison Square Garden. This fight is critical for several reasons. First, it represents a clash between two of the most accomplished fighters in UFC history, with Miocic holding the record for the most title defenses in the heavyweight division. A victory for Jones would further cement his status as the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world, a title that Dana White staunchly defends despite some criticism from fans and analysts. White's commitment to this fight underscores its importance to the UFC's narrative and the broader story of Jon Jones' career. Meanwhile, Alex Pereira has been making waves in the UFC, having secured titles in both the middleweight and light heavyweight divisions. His knockout victories in 2024, including wins over Jamahal Hill and Jiri Prochazka, have solidified his reputation as a formidable competitor. The idea of Pereira moving up to heavyweight to challenge Jones has been widely discussed, with UFC commentator Joe Rogan and Pereira's coach Plinio Cruz among those advocating for the fight. Cruz even described it as potentially the biggest fight this sport has ever seen. However, the UFC's heavyweight division is currently in a state of flux. Jones has not fought since his victory over Gane, and the division is largely on hold as the promotion waits for his return. Plinio Cruz himself acknowledged that now might not be the right time for Pereira to move up, citing the division's current stagnation and the need for Jones to first face Miocic. This cautious approach suggests that the UFC is prioritizing stability and long-term planning over the immediate excitement of a Jones versus Pereira matchup. For the UFC's future, this means a few key things. First, the promotion is likely to continue, focusing on building and maintaining its heavyweight division, with Jon Jones as a central figure. The upcoming fight with Miocic will be crucial in determining the direction of the division and Jones's legacy. If Jones wins, it could set up future blockbuster fights, including a possible showdown with Pereira, but only when the timing is right. Second, the UFC is balancing its desire to create historic matchups with the need to ensure that its divisions remain competitive and dynamic. By delaying the Jones versus Pereira fight, Dana White is likely aiming to maximize the long-term impact of such a bout rather than rushing into it prematurely. The possibility of a Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira fight has been a hot topic within the UFC, with fans and insiders eagerly debating whether it could still happen. While Dana White, the UFC president, has currently shut down the idea, many believe there could still be a chance for this blockbuster fight to take place in the future. To understand the potential for this matchup, it's important to consider the factors at play, including the fighters' career trajectories, the dynamics of the UFC's divisions, and the timing of such an event. Despite Dana White's current stance against the Jones versus Pereira fight, there are several reasons why the matchup could still happen in the future. First, both fighters have expressed openness to the idea. Pereira has shown interest in moving up to heavyweight, and Jones has indicated that he is willing to take on all challengers. Additionally, Pereira's coach, Plinio Cruz, has endorsed the fight, calling it potentially the biggest fight this sport has ever seen. With such high-profile support, it's clear that the interest in this fight is strong. Second, the UFC is a business, and Dana White is known for making decisions that maximize the entertainment value and financial success of the promotion. While White may be hesitant to rush into this fight now, he could be waiting for the right moment to make it happen. The UFC has a history of building up anticipation for big fights, and delaying the Jones versus Pereira matchup could be a strategic move to ensure that it happens at a time when it will generate the most excitement and revenue. Finally, fan demand plays a significant role in the UFC's decision-making process. If the demand for a Jones versus Pereira fight continues to grow, it could pressure the UFC to make the matchup happen. The UFC has a track record of responding to fan interest, and if the clamor for this fight reaches a fever pitch, Dana White may reconsider his current position. In the end, while Dana White might be saying no to Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira right now, anything can happen in the UFC. With both fighters showing interest and the fans wanting it, this fight could still become a reality. If it does, it has the potential to be one of the biggest and most exciting matchups ever. So, keep an eye out because the UFC is always full of surprises. Don't forget to stay tuned for more updates and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the action.